I believe where is the art,
All right.
it's going to be the peace. So I believe AlUla, it's a land of an art and peace.
All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've been to AlUla plenty of times, and my favorite time is evening time in AlUla.
When you see the stars.
Yes.
Oh my
Stargazing
God.
is very
Yes.
serene in
Yeah.
AlUla, and it's just something that is unmatched.
You
right?
can love anyone while you're sitting there.
Hello and welcome to the Mayman Show. We are coming to you from our studios in Riyadh, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And today we have a very renowned producer in the film industry, Roua Al-Madani. Thank you for taking the time to come by our studios today.
أهلا أهلا وسهلا.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me this chance to be here with you.
All right. Well, it's always nice to have people who are heavily invested in the media industry and film in particular. And you never really stop working in film. It's like your passion right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. It's not heavily because we are in the early stage.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we
Yes.
have advocates like you. And to show that my context wasn't really wrong, you're working on 2 documentary projects at the moment, right?
Yes.
So can you take us a little bit through what are these 2 documentary projects?
So the first one, it's called Darb al-Hijra.
Mm-hmm.
So Darb al-Hijra, it's about al-Hijra al-Nabawiyya, starting exactly. We went through like 5 years of research about the road that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, he took from Mecca to Al-Madinah.
Right.
And we document this. طبعا the road, it should take like 16 days, but we cut some areas that اللي هي صارت already like roads and highways.
Right.
So it took us like 12 days. We document all the road with 2 adventurists.
Okay.
One, he's a guide, and the other one, he's a hiker and a climber.
All right.
And we went with them through this experience of friendship, challenges, stories about happened to Prophet Muhammad through all this journey until they reached to Al-Madinah.
Okay. And the other one?
Okay. Just for you, this documentary, it's targeting all the world because,
Yeah.
as you know, like Muslims everywhere, and they like to see this kind of content.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, it's adventurist. He decided like 6 years ago and he wasn't actually an adventurist. He was like a regular businessman.
Okay.
Who 6 years or 7 years ago decided to hike and climb the 7 summits.
All right.
To break kind of internal fear that he have, an internal issue and challenges that he have in his personal life.
Okay.
And the last one was Everest. So we documented Everest, and we documented the whole inner journey that he went through in parallel with him climbing Everest.
All right. And how did you discover this adventure?
I know the guy personally, and
Yeah.
I went through the 7th summit with him, planning and everything, and Everest was the last one. And we wanted to document it, and we documented with one of the most famous hiker and climber, Nems.
Okay.
And he have a Netflix movie called The 14th Peak.
All right.
So he was with us on the journey also.
Okay. And what made you want to focus on creating content that basically documents an adventurer's day-to-day life?
It's more about documenting a journeys. So
Okay.
I want to document a journey of a human being, that how this is change people from stage to a stage, from fears, from everything. I wanted to document also the personal relationships between friends, between families, and how when you be in your shell and not connected to those people, how do you feel? how does it matter for anyone? So for me, those two documentary, it's more than just documenting an incident or documenting an event.
All
It's
right.
more documenting a human journey.
Okay. And what was satisfying for you personally as someone who is obviously, because if I say heavily, you're saying it's not really heavy because we just started and you're someone who really likes what you do. So what was the satisfying experience of developing these two works?
To those two especially?
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into other stuff later, but since we're on these two documentaries.
Satisfying. Okay. Still, I'm not satisfied.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's in post-production. When I
Okay.
saw it, I'm going to be satisfied. When I listen to the music, when I see all this, maybe I'll be satisfied. Still, I'm in this period of the adrenaline. What's going to happen? What we have? What we're going to do? How's the music? It's going to be? How is the coloring? All
Okay.
this. Yeah.
So are you having fun when you're in this conceptualization phase?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I have fun, but I'm in the tip of my toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I wanted to jump. I wanted to see.
Okay, so I mean, of course, everyone when they really feel strong about what they do, they want to get to the end as soon as possible, right?
Not as soon.
Yeah.
When it's the right time.
When it's the right time. Okay.
Yeah,
So when
we are taking our time.
okay, and when do you plan on finishing these projects?
So the first one, the Darb al-Hijra, inshallah, will be done with everything, cross finger, by end of September.
Okay.
The other one, no, early next year by January. So we are in the development phase. We already shoot 60% of the movie. We have only 40% remain.
All right.
And yeah, so early by January, inshallah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'd love to see the final cut of what you're going to release.
Inshallah.
All right. And so aside from, the two documentary projects that you're working on, you are also a senior consultant for AlUla Film.
Yeah, Film AlUla.
All right. So what are, what is your role there specifically? Tell us, like what's making you excited about being, a consultant or for this project?
Okay. So basically, I'm acting as a director of development for Film AlUla.
Yeah.
As a senior consultant, but specifically in this role as a director of
development. Focusing on developing the organization.
So basically, not the organization, the content.
Okay.
And also, so basically they have a development fund. So I work on creating more program and put together the development fund, and also in business development. So basically, I'm presenting AlUla around the world, internationally and regional in the events to attract more production, to see what we can do from all over the world, and also in the area of attracting more businesses that it could be beneficial for the film industry in AlUla.
All right. And then in your opinion, what makes AlUla a very distinct location to film?
I'm not from AlUla.
Yeah.
I never lived in AlUla. But there is something about AlUla that it's really, really hooked me.
All right.
I feel AlUla, it's a very inspiring land. Inspiring and spiritual and also charming. Very, very charming. This is in a personal aspect. That's why I feel there is a lot to do there. There is a lot we can create. There is, it's, when you see something that beautiful and you feel like, I just want to show the word. But on the other hand, if we're gonna talk like strategically and AlUla, it's a very beautiful land, have all the elements to make it to be international.
Yeah.
Usually the people, they thought that AlUla, it's only rocks and sand and a desert, but it's not at all. So basically we have oases, we have greenery, we have mountains, we have 45 people, they live and they are the families since like 100 years over there. So people, they thought AlUla, it's empty and it's a new city, and it's not.
Yeah.
So this is one aspect. The other aspect is the historical area. It's a heritage
Yes.
that everyone today can be there and see it and shoot in it and see what they can create content and stuff.
It's home to Hegra and Tomb of Lihi and Kuza,
Yeah.
and also home to one of the nicest citrus farms that I've ever been to. You have also meringue.
Yes, the meringue trees,
yes,
and this is one of the things that it create most of the expensive cosmetics in the world.
All right.
So it's I believe it's land of opportunities,
Mhm.
and also I believe where is the art,
All right.
it's going to be the peace.
Mhm.
So I believe AlUla, it's a land of an art and peace.
All right. That's interesting. I've been to AlUla plenty of times, and my favorite time is evening time in AlUla. There's
When you
just
see the stars.
Yes,
Oh my
stargazing
God.
is very
Yes.
serene in
Yeah.
AlUla, and it's just something that is unmatched.
You
right?
can love anyone while you're sitting there.
Yeah, you can sit for
You can
hours.
love anyone.
Yeah. Exactly. So just to also show that you're also someone who's very busy in film.
Mm.
So aside from working in Film AlUla, aside from doing 2 documentaries, what's your role with the Red Sea Film Festival?
Okay. So I used to consult, and this year with Red Sea Film Festival, specifically in the area of protocol and VIP
All right.
guest and all the artists from the region.
Mhm.
So I work with them on putting all this plan and strategy, inviting those talents from the region and from the local talents,
Okay.
and putting teams together, planning all this. So this was my main role. Also because I am a producer, so most of the regional and international people, they know me, so I present this with them.
All right. So aside from producing documentaries, take us a little bit about your experience as a producer. I mean, I'm a producer myself, and I was a senior assignment producer. You know, there's lots of differences between that, and I've had other various roles within a newsroom. What made you start becoming a producer?
الحاجة أم الاختراع.
Okay.
Basically, if it's not this, الجهل نعمة.
All right.
So sometimes.
Okay, you have to translate these for us so our viewers can understand. So I'll probably help you.
Please, you help me to
So,
translate الحاجة أم الاختراع.
Yeah. Okay. So oh God, this is bad. I can't translate.
Yeah.
That
So
well.
you don't ask
Okay,
me.
so all right. So the need creates innovation. How about that? That's a close.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one? Let's try.
الجهل نعمة.
Ignorance is bliss.
Oh wow, this is
That's
very
easy.
simple. Yeah, that was easy.
All right. Okay. So ignorance is bliss, and I forgot what I just
Sometimes.
said. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because sometimes you don't know what you are doing, but you all what you know that you have to do it.
Yeah.
So you start do stuff, and you start find yourself in the
Trial
middle
and
of
error,
things
right?
and trap,
Yeah.
basically, and you have to figure out how to do things.
Mhm.
So being a producer, I started my career in advertising,
Okay.
and that was early 2002 and 3.
Are you?
And in that time, we know nothing.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
there was nothing.
Yeah, we know nothing. So basically, I worked as a coordinator in client servicing,
Mhm.
and I was learning client. And suddenly, I find myself in the studio, and suddenly, I find myself in the creative department, because
Okay.
every time I figured that I'm liking something new, and I'm learning something new, and basically, I find that I'm good at something. And I remember the creative director, that he was one of the best that time. And I was like, I was playing around because I was in the client servicing.
Yeah.
And I used to go to the meeting, getting the brief and whatever. And when I get the brief, I go back to the studio. I figured that I am very good in giving brief.
Mhm.
And then I start like drawing with them, because I draw. And so I start drawing with them, opening books and telling the creative, we can do that. This is, I think the client, he will like, and whatever. And then the creative director, he said like, come here. I said like, you are working as a creative. I said, like, no, I'm just helping the guys to have an idea.
Yeah.
He said, no, this is it. It means that you are working as a creative.
Okay.
You are doing the process naturally.
Yeah. This is not account management.
Exactly.
Okay.
So from there, I figured that I am good in this area, and I start learning more. And I moved to the creative department. I did very good. By being in the creative department, I start directing and co-directing the
Okay.
commercials.
All right.
And from there, I've discovered that there is something called producing, and I have to put things together. And I am a very organized person.
Mhm.
So I start from there, putting things. And from here, I figured that I'm good in producing, and I start teaching myself more and more about producing.
Okay.
And I jumped from commercial to video clips to music videos to things like that until
Like which one of these stands out right now? Like which commercial or video clip or something that you did? It doesn't have to be successful, but it's something that like holds a dear place to your heart. I mean, you and me have some similarities because I started out as a kid show host, and then I learned, and then I became a news anchor, then I learned how to be a
yeah.
producer. Yeah. So
And I
dabbled
worked
with
in
it.
radios too. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See,
I was
so there has to be a project from all these
honestly
mediums
a
that you
lot of
like.
projects. Like, I'm gonna tell you, when I was in the advertising, we did one project. I'm in love with it. It called Ghiba wa Namima.
Okay.
I love this one. I love, there is another project that I really like. We did it with Abdul Latif Jamil.
Okay.
It's called الشغل مو عيب.
Okay.
We were like trying to, and it was CSR
So
project.
it's no shame to work.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. No
Mhm.
shame to work. And we were like trying to make the young people to work on anything and to do things that we did not used to see people work on it, or certain jobs.
Okay. Breaking stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. We did a lot, honestly. Those what I have on the top of my head. And producing as a movies and stuff, I co-produced with Egypt one movie called حامل اللقب.
Okay.
I love this movie.
And what was that movie about?
It was a comedy movie.
Yeah.
It was a comedy about one guy who is a football player,
Mhm.
and
He had a moniker of what?
no.
Because that's the name of the movie. So I'm just trying to figure it out. It had to be incorporated in the plot.
No, so basically, he is a football player. He loves his wife so much. His
Okay.
wife, but his time, like always, he's busy. He having things in his life, so he doesn't have that time to his wife. And his wife, she wanted to have a kid, and always he told her, "We are not ready to have a kid. We are not ready."
Focusing
and
on my career.
And he is always disgust of people, of women pregnant, and he always listens, they look disgusting and whatever. And one day he wake up, he find himself
Being
pregnant. Yeah.
Okay.
And he goes through all this experience and challenges. And his wife, in the dream, his wife, she decided to keep the baby.
Okay.
She told him, "I will take care of you, just keep the baby."
All right.
And you see what it's happened.
All
It's
right.
funny movie.
Sounds interesting, but I don't want to know how he. I'll leave that to some
Your imagination,
Yes,
yes.
my imagination, and I'll try not to imagine it at the same time.
Yeah.
But see, I just took you back memory lane to reflect on your investment in the industry as well. So aside from working, and having all these roles, you also attended festivals internationally, and you
Yeah.
recently attended the Venice Film Festival to talk about Arab cinema. So, what are your thoughts, about that participation, and also on the developing Saudi film industry?
I was in Venice Film Festival in one of the panels, but not about the Saudi cinema. I was talking, or the Arab cinema.
But you're still a representative of it. So.
Yeah. I was actually presenting and in the panel of the golden time of the Arab talents.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when was the golden time of Arab talents?
Now.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay.
Honestly, I believe today is our time.
Okay.
Our time in everything. It's our time in investing in the talents. It's our time to create content. It's our time to create music, to create everything.
Mhm.
It's our time. All what we need is to believe in ourselves
Okay.
and to put to have system.
Okay.
I think what we miss that we don't have a proper system.
No system, no framework. I think this is one thing that's across the board on a lot of the things. Like Saudis don't like the talent. They actually reek of lots of talent. We just need that framework, right? And concrete structure.
It's a structure and infrastructure.
Yeah.
So infrastructure, I believe all the entities, the government and the non-government and the semi-government, working a lot on building the infrastructure. And I believe the government entity investing a lot in building the infrastructure. And I think this is, as I said, it's the beginning. We have, inshallah, a lot of days coming to prove ourselves and everything. But I think what we need to have a proper system to put things together. And my humble opinion, those systems, it will not come from anywhere. It will not come from Hollywood or Bollywood or European cinema or anywhere. It should come from us.
Yeah.
It should
Sollywood, right? That's what that's what we're calling it online now.
Inshallah.
Sollywood.
So I think it should be created from here.
Okay. I don't disagree.
Because most of the system that we are having today is we are trying to adapt other countries' system.
Yeah. We're stuck on benchmarking.
Exactly. And we are adapting whatever. I'm not gonna say something, but we are adopting systems.
Yeah, exactly. Systems that are practiced in other markets, but necessarily don't reflect well on yours. Very straightforward.
I don't know how to say it, but back days, every time when anyone asks anything about Saudi or saying how it goes in Saudi, we used to say Saudi, it's different. Yeah. It's not like anywhere. If something applicable anywhere, it's not applicable here. And if it's applicable here, it doesn't applicable anywhere. Okay. And I believe even in this system, we have to create it
ourselves. Of course.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, that's very interesting. And so when I talked to you earlier about coming on the show, you told me about two paths you have in life. You have a professional one, which we just talked about, and you have a social one. So tell us a little bit about your social path.
Okay. The social path. Basically, I grew up in my grandpa and grandma house. And when you grow up on the eldest homes, you live like you are living like 50 years ago. And different everything.
Yes.
So I used to come to the house and lunch from the school. I find people on the table, I don't know who. And when they start asking, who is this? Who is this guy? Or who is this woman here? They said, you never ask who is in our table.
Okay.
Never.
All right.
Whomever he knocked the door, or actually not knocking the door always open. Whomever he come, he will sit in the table and he will eat with us.
Okay.
So I grew up in this kind of mentality. I felt part of me always need to be related to the community, not to myself. So I did a lot of projects in my social path related to, I felt growing up, the teenager is my, what call it? My case, قضيتي ولا whatever.
Right, so
and no, I felt like
that was your cause.
My cause, sorry. Right. It's my cause. Because I felt the teenager usually it's an age. They are not a kid. They are not an adult.
Yes, they're a very critical transition.
Very.
And discovery too.
Exactly. And most of the people or parents or families, they feel they are weirds. They feel they don't know how to deal with them. And they feel some people, they force them to do things, or some people and also we grow up, I'm not talking about my family, I'm talking about a lot of families. They grow up, they don't know how to express their emotions, their fears, their love, everything. So this is, in this time or this age, they need to express their fears, they need to express their emotion, they need to have love and all this. So I felt that's my cause. So I worked on a lot of projects with many different entities to develop those kids.
All right, that's interesting. And in that period, who inspired you the most? Who gave you inspiration?
My aunt.
Really? Why?
She was responsible of me, and she brought me up.
Okay.
And she's a very strong woman.
Okay.
Very strong woman. Very, very strong woman. Strong woman, not as someone who's tough and whatever, because when we said strong people or strong man or strong woman,
strong-willed and strong-spirited, not physically strong.
Exactly. Not only that. Like usually when you said strong, they believe like they're tough. They're saying no.
They're determined.
Strong, it's mean as much as she went through a lot, she never made anything make anyone feel something.
Okay.
As it's nothing. Because she felt this is my problem. It's not your problem. So I was growing up, and I was in this age of teenager. I never felt what she's going through, because she was like there for me. She knows that I love art. Let's do art.
Okay.
I love singing, dancing. Let's do that. I love whatever sport. Let's do that. She was there.
All right.
So she inspired me, like, it doesn't matter what you are going through. You have to be there for them.
Okay. That's very interesting. I mean, I like determined people, and people who take any trials and tribulations of life and spin it into something positive. And before we wrap up like this interview, I wanted to get your opinion as a content creator.
Okay.
Do you follow the show?
Do you want me to lie or not?
Yeah, no, it's all right. Actually, I wanted to tell the truth.
The truth is, no, I don't follow the show.
All right.
And when you ask me to come on the interview, I start like checking and seeing them, and I like it.
All right.
Honestly.
What made you want to come on the show then? Okay.
First, I love podcasts, and I love. I told you I was in radios and music,
Okay.
so I love that. Second, when I watched the episode that you guys sent me, I felt this is me. Very simple, normal. I
reek simplicity. Look at my studio. Look at me. For God's sakes, that's just simple as nice.
I just want to talk from my heart. I don't want to complicate things, basically.
Yeah, we'll see exactly. So you fit the bill of the show, a personable podcast hosted by Arab News. And before we wrap up this interview, I always ask my guests, is there a personal message you want to send to the audience, listening, watching, or reading? Because we're on all platforms.
Okay.
All right.
So I want to say to the talents that we have in Saudi Arabia, I want them to believe in themselves.
Okay.
And I want them also to not force themselves to do things that they don't have to do. And also, they don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
They have to know one thing, love it, and concentrate on it and do it right. That's it.
Okay.
Because most of the talents, with all the challenges happening in the market and with the opportunities right and left, they are trying to be not themselves, and they are trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna try to do everything, they will fail. Just choose what you want, concentrate on what you love, and be humble. Because our industry, it's very glamorous, and just be yourself, be humble.
That's externally. I think everyone sees the glamour, but if they see what the hard work and hustle and bustle that goes behind it, they'll see it's not that glamorous.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. And I'd like to thank you for taking time to be here. And before we wrap up our interview, I'd like to quote Rocky Balboa's famous quote that it's not about how many times life knocks you down. It's about how many times life knocks you down and you keep getting back up, right?
100%.
Okay, I thought you'd like that because you like strong-willed people. And that's all the time we have for this interview. Again, thank you for being here, and tune in to the Mayman Show. See you later.